beat. That's 9.9 FM. That one is Feeling, Aladipo, and Voodoo. It's a midday show, Tools on Dino Radio, and we also have Ebuka in the building. What's up?
Yes.
How you doing?
Welcome.
Mr. Big Brother himself.
Is it?
So the way people have been like tweeting at me over the last few months, I mean, the last Big Brother ended last year, right?
Yes.
And we're,
September.
6 months into the new year, and I was just like, one morning, I'll wake up
Where
and I'll
were
just hear,
you?
excuse me, I had just put to bed.
Okay.
I put to bed. And I was like, guys, I'm on maternity. And they're like, yeah, but when are we going to have the interview? And I'm like, I don't know.
It's
I'm
like,
just,
they even started almost like dragging me for not. I'm like, but I'm not the person that is going to do the interview.
And I was just like, oh my goodness. Anyways,
We're finally here.
yes, we're finally doing this. If you have any questions for Ebuka, before I forget, hit us up on WhatsApp 0810-265-0209. However, no abuse will be tolerated for all of the, fan clubs and everything that maybe, I don't know, they have an issue with how we ask their favorite question or whatever. All right, so the last few days has been all about the Big Brother reunion show. And I have my thoughts. You have your thoughts. I'm just gonna. Should I? There's some people I think that exited early on, and I think they're just using this Big Brother reunion just to be like, I was here. Because I remember I was watching like one of the first episodes. I was like, who's that? I was like, I don't remember that person being on the show. And then I just found that, like, over the last few episodes, one of the key things that stood out to me is that there are just some people that are making, like, big dramas out of, yeah, but you said you liked me. But you said you liked me. And I'm just like, okay, he said he liked you, but he doesn't now. What's the big deal?
I mean, I don't think there's anything completely wrong with that, though. I mean, it's the final opportunity for a lot of them to, be seen. And if you actually left early, I think you have more of an incentive to do that because you weren't seen enough.
Yeah.
Those who stayed as long as they could in the house really probably don't have anything more to show. The ones who left earlier are like, okay, they didn't see this side of me or whatever it is, so let me come here now. I mean, I
I'm
get
going
you.
to
but
show that I can give drama. Right?
Let me tell the people what they missed. Let me show them what they could have seen.
And then, the auntie, there's one person that every time she was speaking, there was a bit of a delay with how I was processing what she was saying.
Who's that?
Because I had to she would speak and then I had to translate everything.
The different accents.
Yes, I had to be like, okay, she said this. What is? Oh, this means that. Okay, this means that. So literally, it was exhausting listening to her because I just had to what did she say? What did she say? What does this mean? What could this possibly? So I was literally doing a Google search in my brain every time she spoke.
Yeah.
So I mean, we know who she is and everything.
Was that shocked you when she opened her mouth?
So I guess we're talking about Katrina.
Did you struggle?
Katrina.
Did you struggle
No, of course
sometimes to
not. But I
understand
think
her?
she actually also tweeted a few days ago saying the accent is a part of the drama or something.
Yeah,
Or it's a part of
exactly.
the show. Enjoy it.
Accents.
So
The
she's
accent
also
was
taking
part
it
of
very,
confusion.
very lightly, So I mean,
like,
I guess it was part of what she was trying to put out there.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I don't know if I was shocked or anything. I just
was
okay.
just,
But I mean, she's taking it well.
Did you? So
actually.
when she was talking, did you sometimes drift off I'm gonna have this for dinner?
Actually, I found her very, very, very fascinating.
Really?
Because I didn't think she was going to come with that sort of energy.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have even tweeted that, Katrina has carried this reunion on her back.
Yeah, I
Give
think
her
she
her
really
flowers or
strategized.
something. So whatever it was, her strategy was, I guess, is working. I don't know if it was a strategy or if it just happened in the moment. But I was a little surprised. I was actually very engaged every time she was speaking.
Has the Twitter ban, has it affected the feedback that the fans have been able to give?
Am I on Twitter? Oh, yes.
Yes, you're tweeting.
Of course it has.
Yeah.
Because people are still watching, obviously, because, I mean, MultiChoice has the numbers, viewership, and it definitely went up with the reunion. But what we're missing now is the instant feedback you usually get as it's on, which is what the show thrives on usually, where every other day it's trending at number 1 in Nigeria worldwide. We're not seeing that sort of energy because, I mean, there's a ban or a suspension or temporary suspension or what it is. So, yeah, we can definitely feel it.
Okay, all right then. So every time Ebuka comes here, he always tries to be very PC. He won't say who his favorite is. He won't say who his least favorite is. I kind of know. But Nadine, you're a lawyer. Both of you are lawyers. So yeah, get ready.
Nadine, you're my guy.
Battle.
I do want to ask. So you asked the housemates. It's only fair that I just throw it to you.
Yes.
You asked them, who do you think in the house was playing a game or was faking it? Fake triggering it. Who do you think was the person?
Fake triggering. That's the word. That's
Fake
the phrase.
triggering. Who was fake triggering?
Like, I'm so angry about this. Oh,
Yeah, just
I'm
like
storming off.
petty things that you're like, it's not that deep.
It's not that
And I'm
deep.
watching.
really
I'm
not
like,
deep.
Kilo and Shile. What's going on?
That's interesting. I actually can think of who I think was fake triggering it for TV. How many fights were they? There was a lot of Lucy fights, but I think they were very genuine. I think she was very, like she said, probably misunderstood a lot. So I don't know if it was fake from her.
But Lucy was already fighting in the house, so
Yeah,
that's
dramatic.
different. Like,
But she's a
for
sweet
me,
girl
it's the
still.
people that, you know, they weren't very combative in the house, and
Who now
then
came out and
during this
were-
reunion, they were just like, actually, I'm going to, you know, I need to settle this score with you, and I'm just like, you know, the show ended like in September, right?
Yeah.
And you guys have all seen each other like since then, probably several times. And all of a sudden, you have this issue that you need to sort out with this person, and so I think there are a few people.
Fake triggering, I don't know, but I felt like so the Kaisha and Lucy fight, which we couldn't air. I just thought it didn't need to get there, because I know that Kaisha got really offended because it was her mom that was being talked about, and she said, "Stop talking about my mom." And I think Lucy, according to her, had moved on to another conversation. I was talking about fruits or something, and Kaisha thought he was still talking about her mom. So tempers flared, and then there was a physical altercation.
there
I
blood?
didn't think it was necessary.
Was there blood?
You'll have to go look for the clip.
But
But yeah,
in this
that I
moment-
didn't. That I thought it was unnecessary,
Yeah.
and it just shouldn't have gotten there.
Can I ask
Especially because they
something?
were very good friends before that. People, I don't know if people
Yeah.
remember that.
Can I ask
They
something?
actually lived together at some point, I think.
Oh,
Why,
wow.
why didn't you even try to separate them? It was almost
So
like
here's
you're
what
like,
happened.
You
So
were
here's
like,
what happened.
Ebuka,
So let me
you
say
were in
something.
the pictures, you were like, don't step on my shoe.
That's it,
Don't
don't
stay in
fall
my
my
shoe.
And
Don't
they-
look at me.
Which
You literally were like,
and the funny thing is
don't
that
let this stuff touch me.
the funny thing is they actually ruined my shoe that day. I'm still very upset. But here's the thing. So we've had a lot of the people standing up and shouting at each other.
Yeah.
They were literally about 3 feet away from each other. But it was a shouting match. I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, when they finish shouting, I guess they're gonna sit, which usually happens.
Yeah.
The pillow flying from Kaisha's hand and Lucy jumping up to hit
never expected it.
happened in like 3 seconds. So it was me just watching. When they finish, yeah, we'll be tired and sit down. Before it registered that, oh, this has actually gotten here. I'm actually quite happy that they did not show the full video because I actually fell on the floor at some point. Yeah, trying to avoid. Yeah, it was a very hectic. But
What?
yeah,
But honestly, in the picture that we did see, your expression during that whole thing, it was just like, oh my gosh, get them, get these
Can
things
they
away
rest?
from me.
can they
Okay.
rest? And I go, so they were like, oh, Ebuka, you didn't even separate. And I'm just like, and people are. So one thing I've gotten a lot with this reunion is people are like, oh, this is what is a reunion about? I thought it was supposed to bring them to making peace and all of that. I'm like, try googling the meaning of a reunion. It's actually literally people just coming back. People who probably wait. I need to because I actually have it.
The law.
A reunion is an instance of two or more people coming together again after a period of separation. Period.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to do with peace. It doesn't mean we wouldn't like them to be peaceful. And then the funny thing is, a few times later, a few episodes down the line, I think I can't remember who was talking, and I was trying to make peace with them. And then I get dragged again. Ebuka, must they be friends? Leave them, Joe. So he's like, what do you people really want? So it's, I get caught in a position where I'm like, okay, the whole idea of a reunion for me, especially this reunion, is for them to express themselves. What you find that a lot of them are on the show and they are holding a lot of things back because there's money at the end of this thing. And they don't want to be seen a certain way, or they don't want to lose out on the competition. The show then ends, which is why usually sometimes the drama outside of the house is even worse than the show, because then people are now really
They're being their
saying
real
how
selves.
they feel.
Yeah.
So the whole idea of the reunion is, okay, come and vent. Nobody's saying you guys must really be friends, but you can't necessarily make up if you don't say what's on your mind. And then the saying what's on your mind ends up being this,
Did the reunion show, did it like break any friendships?
I don't think it did. I don't think it did. I just think a lot of the friendships ended up not being mended. And I thought it was unfortunate. I said this is probably the least number of reconciliations we've had in any reunion show.
Oh, wow.
Usually we have a lot of, sort of, okay, we're good now. This year, a lot of people came vented and still left probably even angrier,
And they were-
or just the way they were. There were very few moments. I think it was just Erica and Watoni that I know hugged it out. I can't remember any other ones. A lot of them became cordial because even if they didn't happen on air, I know I saw a few, like Ozzo and Prince, I know they had a few conversations off air.
Okay.
And there was a handshake at some point, but it didn't happen on air. So I believe they are cordial enough, So we had a few of those moments, but generally it wasn't as, people didn't come, and you can't force it. I'm not going to say you must hug each other. It's not my job to do
I
that.
saw a clip of Erica and V, talking and everything, and V basically said nothing to do with Erica, nothing at all, and then they both kind of said the same thing, and people were like, "Oh my gosh!" And I was like, "You know what? I mean, you know what? You're not gonna like everybody you come across, and
Which is what I
sometimes
always
it's not even like a beef kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes you could be very, very different people, and you recognize that you're different people, and you're like, you know what? I'm not even going to, try this friendship thing because I don't think it's gonna work.
Yeah.
So that's fair. Somebody that I actually I found her quite fascinating during the reunion show was V.
Yes.
So was she herself like during this reunion show and during the actual show?
Yes.
Or
I
did
think
she
I think she was one of those who stayed the same.
Yeah.
The V I saw in the reunion show is the same V I saw in the house. Very straight talking. I mean, there are probably people who would say she talked behind people's backs. But I think that's normal in every human being.
Do you know what?
Yes.
Do you know what? Because obviously, because of my condition,
Yes.
I wasn't able to watch. I wasn't able to watch most of the show because you can't really watch it abroad. But when I did come back and I caught bits and pieces of it and everything, I actually felt like I liked V. I actually like V because I think also the whole British, what's it called, ghetto kind of thing. I like that. I like the way she'd have like a British accent, and the next thing she's just
Speaking Yoruba.
So I was like, okay, I kind of get her.
Yeah.
But then let's be honest, right? Because people are like, she talks about people. I mean, you know what? People kind of do that. People do that. It might not be that you say like horrible things.
Exactly.
But like I've talked about you. Maybe I'll be like, oh, that's Tuesday because we're I'm talking about you and you're not there.
And
so
you're
people do it all
living
the
with
time.
people. It's impossible for
impossible.
3 months not to, because when I've been on the show, the most you can talk about things from outside the house is probably the first 2 weeks. Then you run out of gist, right? How many more stories of your life can you tell the housemates? At some point, it becomes this to lose glasses, Seth. You have to now say something.
What's wrong with my? Don't try me, I'm still questioning you like this.
So I mean, I think it's normal.
Yeah, and
but I
then
think she stayed consistent.
Yeah, but then I
think
feel like there were some people that came into the show. See, we have to kind of go back and imagine that this was just after the show and everything. So I feel like there were some people that because they know how big of a platform it is, they were playing the game very, very carefully.
Yes.
And they were like, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to be, because they know that if anything they do in the house, they could be dragged outside. So they played it very carefully. And then maybe during the reunion, we kind of got to see who they really were or something. There were a few people that were just like, So I feel like V was just like, you know what, like me or hate me, this is it.
Yeah.
If you like me, like me. If you don't,
That.
And that's the thing.
exactly. If you don't
really
like her,
respect
at least you have
for
to
that.
respect that because
Yeah.
she gets a lot of hate as well.
Yeah.
And you would think that maybe that would make her be like, okay, maybe I should tweak things a little and be a different person. But she still stays that way, and I guess you have to give her that.
Exactly.
She got so much hate after the show.
It was
and I was
scary.
actually worried about her for a second. I was like, you know what,
Still
this
does,
is a lot.
because I see a lot of the things.
Yeah, I was like, this is a lot. But I have to say, she's been very you know what, I'm going to, this platform that I've been given, I'm going to use it. I think she's hosted like 1 or 2 shows.
Yeah.
She's hosting a talent show for
talent
Trophy.
show as
She's
well,
done 1 or 2 things. Her song was not bad at all.
She has a great
Her
voice.
song was actually not
Yeah.
bad at all. So we played that. Like I heard it and I was just like, wait, this is me? I was like, okay. Not bad. Didn't she come to premiere on
Yeah.
she did. It was actually good. So I like that, and I feel like we don't get like a lot of people like
True,
that.
true.
And then so I don't want to talk too much about my opinion on housemates and everything because 1 or 2 of them their people still dragged me, but I'm like, it's all good. It's all good.
Welcome to my world.
Do you think this has been like the most toxic season of Big Brother? Because it was.
So here's what it is. I feel like in the past, you would have probably maybe 1 or 2 housemates who had like those very intense fan bases who would like sort of go back and forth at each other on social media. This year, there's probably about, off the top of my head, I can think about at least 5 or 6. So there's a lot more groups having
Okay,
those
so there's-
intense interactions.
I can't remember all their names, like what the fan.
So the
group
ones I
was.
know that you would probably call,
Toxic.
no, not toxic. The ones with the ones with the
I love it.
I'll talk the ones with the large fan bases
Yeah.
that come up to my head now. Of course, there's Erica, there's Lekon,
Nengi.
there's Nengi, there's
Nengi.
Ozo,
Dorothy. Oh, Zo's
there's
fine.
Dorothy,
Yeah.
there's Prince. Probably those 6, I think, come to mind off the top of my head now that have a significant amount of fans who go back and forth a lot at each other on social media. So that's a lot more
remember-
heat.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
How do you
I-
deal with that?
Like you get dragged as
So-
well because I think there are 1 or 2. And the funny thing is, big shout out to Cynthia. Your wife is here, sitting in the corner. She's trying not.
She gets dragged.
I know
People should
she's
leave my
trying
wife
not to-
alone, please.
Wait,
Please.
wait.
She's not
now.
inside this show. Leave her
Like the
alone.
game.
Like,
So I know that there was a narrative that she didn't like a particular housemate.
Every
and
season there's
and
that narrative.
She now told you to do something to a housemate.
Yeah.
Can you just explain to people how things work? Is it possible for your wife Cynthia to say, "I don't like that person"? Can you get them evicted? Can you
Can you ask them this question? Can you make sure?
Can you make sure?
And, and it's
is
so.
it
And I've
possible?
even said this on this show before. There's at least off the top of my head 4 companies that run Big Brother. There's Endemol, which is a Dutch company. There's MultiChoice. There's Mnet Nigeria. There's Red Pepper, which is a production. These are 4 companies. Nothing happens on that show without the approval of these people. And then my wife is the one who runs the show. I find it so weird, and people actually believe these things when they see it. So, I mean, before every live show, there's
Cynthia, you
production
care to
meetings. There's production
Any
meetings that
comments?
happen before every live show, and things are discussed and things are done. And Ebuka's wife told him to say this. It's just so. I find it so funny, especially, and it's sad that people actually really believe it.
Yeah.
People really believe it. So I'm just like, so I don't even fight. You were saying, how do I react to these things? I see them. Most times I stay off.
Yeah.
So I'm not one of those people who says these things don't get to me, especially when it's my family, when my wife gets dragged or my children, which happens,
Which is crazy.
which is ridiculous.
Which is
People
absolutely
bring my
crazy.
children into this conversation. So what I usually do most times, I stay off social media. Or I'll stay on Instagram. You know, Instagram is nice and pretty.
I mean, until
They
get
give you
some-
flowers there. But Twitter is really intense.
No,
so
but
most
you have
times I
some
stay off Twitter.
you have some crazies that find their way onto.
Honestly,
Oh, yeah, once in a while.
So
comments,
it's
yeah.
just why do you think there's so much why do you think there's so much energy behind this whole Big Brother and then the different fan kingdoms and everything? Why do you think that so many young people take this like it's almost life or death? And I remember there was something that I saw and I commented on it. And the next thing, people were just like, "Oh, you have 2 sons," and you said that, and I'm like, I saw something,
Yeah.
and
I just
what
made a comment.
yeah, and what I don't understand is how you say something and maybe, one of the housemates did something during, like while you're watching and you kind of just say, "Oh, I didn't like that."
Yeah.
And they kind of turn it into, you hate this person.
Yeah.
You said that you hate their beloved, housemate and everything. And then it turns ugly. Why do you think that happens? Why do you think
You know-
people literally take it as in, like, it's like life or death for some people?
It's funny because 2 or 3 episodes ago on the reunion show, I actually asked the same question. I was like, please, maybe you guys can explain this fun thing to me because I also don't get it. I know a lot of people identify with the housemates because it's a show for anybody. It's almost impossible to watch Big Brother and not see someone you identify with. Like you talked about London. You have a London similarity with V, for example.
Yeah.
So you her conversations might relate to,
I
or you
mean-
might relate to her conversations.
go on.
So people are watching this show. They can see themselves in that house. They can see what they would do in certain situations if they were in a house. Because it's just a house. It's not a talent show. It's not a game show. It's just a house with anybody. So there's that serious. People are seriously drawn to someone, I think. But then this thing started evolving slowly from the second season, which we did, Sigobe, and over time it's getting more intense. That's the part I don't understand. I understand the love for the housemates. I understand the love for the show. But where it now gets toxic, the need to overprotect my favorites
Yeah.
from any form of criticism, whatever it is the person has done, that part I don't understand. And I appeal every year. I'm like, please help me
Explain to
understand
me,
this
please.
thing. Because I don't get it.
But why
I
do
don't
the
think it's
housemates-
necessary.
It's actually, I think that's one of
Yeah.
the, obviously you're my friend, you're
Yeah.
one of my good friends and stuff. And
I mean, one time they said you told me to say something to you.
they did. You didn't tell me that. Who did?
There was one of those,
Yeah.
not this season, I think a season or 2 ago. They said
It's-
you and my wife and I think Adesua
Okay.
had a meeting
And we said,
and told me what to say or
gosh.
something. I'm just like,
So I like honestly, it's crazy for me because I watch. One of the main reasons I watch shows because obviously supporting you and everything. And then I just don't get it. Like I have people that I'm like, oh, I kind of like her, but am I literally going to go on social media and search for their name and be
And
like, I'm
abuse
going to
anybody.
fire, I'm going to fire anybody that said, you know what? Because there were two people that I kind of were like, okay, you know what? I like them. They're kind of decent. Like I said, V, because I like the London Agbero vibe. I was like, yeah, that's kind of me. And then Dorothy, because that was like for me the first time I saw like somebody that was plus being represented.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they did stuff that I didn't like.
Yeah.
They did stuff that I was.
and you're allowed to call them out.
Yeah, that's what I'm. And the thing is, because you kind of just say, look, I don't like what this person did, or I don't like what that person did, it doesn't make it a hate thing.
Yeah.
There was one person. Why am I actually? This interview is not about me. I'm not about to tell you guys something.
Let's hear it.
You like gist,
Okay.
go on.
Stop it. There was one person that literally people were like, oh my gosh, Tools hates this person so much. And when they now they were supposed to come, obviously every contestant came here for an interview. People were like, no, let this person not come to Beat FM. They hate the person at Beat FM. They hate. And I was just like, nobody has done anything to me. So it cannot be hate. It's just maybe you did something and I was like, oh, I didn't like that. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, oh, what am I going to have for lunch? It's not really like I'm going to carry this. And it got so bad that I think the person ended up doing some work with my husband. And then they had to say, oh, is it okay? Because Tools hates this person. I'm just like, I don't like, seriously.
So imagine what I then go through because
It's
the fans
disgusting.
decide who they think I hate
Yeah.
and decide who they think I love.
I know who they thought you hated this
and,
season.
and they decide who I think they
said
decide
it
who,
was your
exactly
wife that said
told me to hate the person. And they decide who they think I love based on maybe a Sunday question I ask.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, Ebuka doesn't like this person. Let me give an example of Dorothy, for example.
Yeah.
So I think there was a Sunday conversation. I can't remember the exact question now. Since September, I kid you not, up until maybe last month, I was getting dragged almost every day by Dorothy fans because I hate Dorothy and I lied about her or something. So there was an episode of the reunion where she stood up at some point. She looked like she was going to have a physical altercation with Tolani Badge, and I stood up and stopped her. And then the conversation now became, oh, Ebuka is biased. Why didn't he stop Lucy and Kaisha? It's because he likes Dorothy and he's trying to protect her.
But why doesn't why
So every single action is related to love or hate. It's not because you are just doing your job.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
You had a question?
Why don't the housemates now step in and actually say, look, this is too much? Are they afraid of their own fans or do they
So
secretly
I know
love
some of
the
them
energy?
do. Some of them do step up. I know some of them tweet and say, you guys should relax. This is not what I'm about. Some of them do. Some of them don't.
Some of them enjoy it.
And some
That's
of them
what I
enjoy
think.
it.
Yeah.
We can't lie about that. And there's also, I think, so they get a lot of stuff from these fans, right? And it's hard to speak up for some of them. I mean, if I'm getting it, you should give me Benz, by the way. And the house.
It's true. Why isn't there like
But
a
to be-
Ebuka fan kingdom?
Ebuka like
To be honest, if you're getting these, because it's a lot of gifts, it's not very easy to speak up against them, especially when they are that intense. You get what I'm saying? But I must give some of the housemates credit. Some of them do speak up and tell their fans to pipe down. But they're not going to listen
scary. It's scary.
that's control. That's
they're not gonna
terrifying.
listen.
It's kind of like, I know there were a few situations where like the fans were like, no, don't do this, don't do that.
Yeah.
And like literally the situation that I mentioned where they were like, this person shouldn't come for an interview. They literally were. I saw tweets and everything, and it was so funny because I was like, you know what? I know that because you guys are expecting us to say something bad, I know so many of you are going to listen. And the funny thing was, I wasn't even back from maternity.
So you weren't even around?
I wasn't even the one that was going to do the interview. But what is the craziest narrative you've heard about maybe contestants or about yourself? What's the craziest thing you've heard that you're just like, wow, people actually believe this?
Craziest. I think you probably should go back to the Double Wahala season, the Hill CC drama, where she was first of all she was first of all my sister-in-law. She was my wife's sister. I don't know what mother names both their children Cynthia, but that's by the way. Then she became my ex-girlfriend. Then she became someone I dated 2 years ago, which was why I was protecting her or something.
Yeah.
And it was so bad that I even got blogs publishing these things as fact.
Wow.
And till today people still believe that. I still randomly see one or two tweets. Oh, that's why he was protecting that his ex. I'm just like, people believe these things. So it's hard for me to even retract or sort of ask for a retraction or sort of put a disclaimer out, because these guys are going to believe what they want to believe. So I'm just like, I block out those sort of things, focus on the positive, because there's a lot of positive from these fans. The show is as great as it is because of them. Yeah. And we can't take that away from that. Yeah. So, when I see that sort of energy, I focus on it. But when there's all these blatant lies and someone just throws something out there, I don't even bother.
So, obviously, everybody knows that, I know you, we're friends and everything. And I actually still get messages from, please, can you help me speak to Ebuka? I want to enter this Big Brother. Again, can you just clarify? If I wanted to be part of the next Big Brother, is that possible?
No, Tolu, you're not going to come. But if anybody else wants to apply, and this process
I have no influence.
Yeah. The process is very simple. I still get messages till today. Hey, Ebuka, help me. There are people, let me just go into details. It's a very easy process, and I put it out there every single year. I think because of COVID last year, they stopped the physical audition, so it's now online. There's a link. You click on the link, you upload your 2-minute video, and you wait for a callback. That's it. There's nobody. Someone sent me a message 2 days ago about someone wanting 4 million naira from them to get into the house. I'm like, who is this person, and why are you listening to people like this? Every single caption, if you go on my page about Big Brother auditions, I always put the free in caps for a reason. I'm like, auditions.
This is Nigeria now. People always
nobody
think,
asks you for anything. I don't know why people, and there's so many scams. I have almost, the last time I checked, about 23 Ebuka or Biuchendo pages on Facebook.
Wow.
Scamming people. I'm tired of reporting these pages. Some people come to my Instagram and say, oh, Ebuka, I was just chatting with you now on Facebook. Can I get your account details so I can make payments? I get that. I get that a lot. And I'm just like, this is not me, please. And I don't know how many more pages I can report, but it's sad and these things are happening. But once again, please, auditions are free. Don't fall for anything. If you don't follow the DSTV or GoTV or MultiChoice or my page, we always put out the audition process when it's time. Not that anybody send you a text and say audition has started. It's not a secret. It's never a secret. So.
All right, 2 more questions. We need to wrap up very soon. So some people feel like you need to look a certain way if you're going to be picked to be part of Big Brother. I mean, the last 2 seasons, 2 of the popular housemates, they looked a certain way. So is that true? Do you need to, I mean, for example, now, would Nadine not be allowed to enter because Nadine doesn't have big bum bum because she has not done BBL? Would she be allowed to? Would she be allowed to? First of all, is that true? Do you pick people? I mean, not you personally, but do they pick people based on the way they look, or
So
really, you've only had like one kind of plus person there.
Yeah.
Why is that, Ebuka?
I'm not a part of the audition process. It's not my call. But I'm just going to give you 4 names and tell me what the similarities are there. Dorothy, Nengi, Tolani Badge, Lucy. What's similar amongst them? Nothing. So I don't know what kind of look anybody says we might be looking for. The fact that maybe a certain type became popular is not our call. It's probably what the viewers were drawn to. I don't know what it was they were looking for. But I think every season we've had all types. Maybe, like you said, maybe we've not had enough plus size people. I don't know why that is. I'm not a part of the process, so I can't speak on it. But I don't think there's any criteria to say, okay, this is how you must look before you can get into the house.
Would I have to be bright? Like very bright in complexion?
I just named 4 people. Tolani Badge is not bright. Wathoni is not bright. There's a lot of people who are not bright.
That's true. I did actually see that a lot. Like, I will never get picked for Big Brother because I'm not this, I'm not that. You
even have more dark-skinned people on the show than light-skinned. Thinking about it now, Wathoni, Tolani Badge.
Because
Kaisha
really
is not a light-skinned person.
How will you maintain your complexion if you can't?
So I don't think that's a fair way to look at it.
And last question. The new season is starting when?
Yeah.
Can people still apply? Or is it done?
I don't know that they can still apply because auditions I think close sometime in June. I put out the timeline on my post when the submission ends. I don't know if the process is done because there's several stages after you submit. So I don't know what stage they're on right now. I don't know that I can speak on when the show is starting, but I mean, it's soon. Usually, the reunion show is usually lead into the new season. So I'm sure announcements will soon come up from MultiChoice.
Right? Ebuka already has his outfits ready for like the first month.
For all the shows, hello.
Oh, look at you. He's probably on his way to a fitting now.
For everything.
And you know what? This last season, you didn't have any like sort of, super controversial outfits. and thank your tailor
Wow.
for adding the extra inches in your trouser because
Wow.
Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me.
I'm just
What's wrong
like,
with jumpy?
I was just like, there was one time, not this
That was like
last
3 seasons
season.
ago.
This about 2 seasons. I was just like, why is the length of your trouser fighting the ground? Like, no. Yeah, so I think this last season
was a
they
good
were
cast.
very nice. I'm talking about his outfits.
Oh,
Very
right.
nice. Nothing like too crazy, even though you've inspired,
Yeah.
What I'm sure you see lots of people that
Oh,
have
yeah.
been inspired by your outfits and you're just like, is this really what I
Some
want?
really good ones. And some, hey, my guy, why this?
I mean, there's even a whole lawsuit based on one of your outfits.
Okay, there you go.
That was wild.
There you go.
All right.
So
Okay.
that's
So, what
interesting.
would you like to say? What would you like to say to the fans? Because I've noticed that in the past, what happens is maybe for this season, you have somebody that is like, oh, team this person. The next season, they jump ship and then
Two
they
different
like are part-time part of that fan base, and then they jump into another. So, what would you like to say to the fans that are obviously going to watch the show and
Yeah.
everything?
First of all, thank you, and I mean this very, very honestly. The interaction this show gets, I don't think any of us still understand it. And I'm talking, I get mails from Zambia, from Cape Verde. Like, it's weird, the kind of people and the number of people. And then the Nigerian fans, of course, are really, really passionate about
Yeah.
it. And like I say, it's the reason why it's the biggest show on the continent. So thank you guys very much. But also, and I make this appeal every time, let's tone it down a bit. I think it's very possible to watch a show and enjoy it and banter without it being toxic or without it being so intense. I don't think we need that sort of energy. I hope you listen to me. I don't know if you will, but generally, let's just keep it civil. You can have fun. Yes, drag me once in a while, but just keep it civil. And I'm not perfect.
Leave his family out of it.
Thank you. I was going to get there. I'm not perfect. I know that it's not impossible for me to do a live reality show for 4 years and not have a few flaws. So just understand that I'm not a perfect person, but whatever I do comes from the place that I'm trying to do my work, not because I'm trying to create a narrative or something like that.
Not because your wife told you to do it.
And not because my wife told me to. And finally, please, like Tolu said, please leave my family out of this. I'm the one working on this show. You can do whatever you... Okay, not whatever, but I mean, keep me in the conversation and leave them out of it. They didn't ask for this. My wife is not on the show. My children especially.
Yeah.
She would never be brought into this. And
Yeah. And your wife is allowed to have a favorite. She's a fan of the show. Is she not allowed to have a...
Of course she is.
She's allowed to,
Even I am allowed to have a favorite. I'm just not allowed to make it interfere with my work. But people always talk about who my favorite is and try to insinuate, and I always laugh when I see the funny thing is they always, yes, I have a favorite, but they never get it right because they always think they know who it is based on my interaction with
I thought your favorite was Lekon, but I think he was
I thought
one of
Lekon
your...
was really cool, but
one of your favorites.
he was one of them.
Yeah.
But my favorite ultimately was Brighto.
That's
On
an
the
interesting
show.
choice.
On the
Which
show,
was
yeah.
Brighton?
Lord Skylar.
Lord
What is it?
Baelish,
Lord
yeah.
Baelish.
I just thought he was very, very
Dorothy.
weird and interesting. Dorothy's
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, like I said, I didn't watch most of the show because I was in condition.
Yeah.
So
he was really fascinating to me. Yeah, it was the kind of content we had never seen, and I kept wondering, is it a strategy or is this who he is?
Yeah.
Because it was just content without doing too much.
So you like them based on how they act in the show, not who they are personally.
Oh no,
Not like
how
a
I feel
friendship.
about you on the show doesn't mean you're not a good or bad person. Definitely not. I've had favorites on this shows that people like were morally bankrupt. But for me, it's like, okay, this is great content. The show is doing
Yeah.
well. After the show, you can move on with your life. But as for the show purposes of the show, yeah.
yeah. So your favorites are based on people that you can see yourself relating with outside the show.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
For me, my favorites on the show are usually people who give me content.
okay.
Not playing the game well.
Yeah, who are just giving me a good
Erica
game.
gave you guys.
Oh
a lot
yeah,
of
I liked
content.
Erica. I really liked Erica, which is also funny because people thought I hated her. I really liked her on the show because she gave us great content. Erica and Kid were correct.
Fire.
I heard
Yeah.
that there was a lot of stuff that we didn't see.
So that is inevitable.
That's another question. How do you choose what we get to see and what we
Yeah, because you
That's
were
it.
accused. Because I think a few people accused you of
Me
When
in
I say you,
particular.
when I say
The show.
you are representing.
Yes.
So I know that
Of
they
hiding
accuse you
certain
of showing, portraying certain people in a certain light, and then so for example, I know that a few people kind of said that you showed a lot of Erica and Kid Wire when they were getting it on, but then for example Dorothy and Brighto, that wasn't seen. There a lot of people didn't know about that. A lot because that wasn't shown. So how how do you guys pick what we see?
So first things first, we live in a country that has regulations. We all know about the NBC. You guys work here, so you know how that works.
So
There are certain things we can never show, whether we like it or not. I would say the show would be a different show if it wasn't a Nigerian show, or if it wasn't in Nigeria, because of the kind of things that we can't show. So those things are not even our call. It's just legal issues. Okay. Secondly, this talk about what we're showing about Kidwaya and Erica. We actually didn't show anything about Kidwaya and Erica. If anybody remembers, nothing was shown about them. We didn't show anything. In fact, it was even Catherine and Praise that people saw under the sheets. Dorothy and
when they were curdling.
Yeah, and a lot of these things also happened under the sheets. So even if you show, there could have been a camera there at the time, but you didn't know what was happening. We're not going to go and send a ninja to say remove that bed sheet so that we can get a good shot. It just so
you guys need to get infrared
so a lot
cameras.
of what people were talking about that day when the quote unquote sexual episode that happened, where people were like, oh, they made Erica and Kidwaya look bad. I'm like, how? What did we show about Kidwaya and Erica that made them look bad? The funny thing is that everything that was revealed on the show that day was actually on air. It just so happened that people decided to assume what they assumed. And maybe the other people just didn't talk about theirs and certain people talked about theirs. That was actually what happened.
All right.
So...
Wow. Okay, we have a ton of questions for Ebuka, but we've actually been talking for a while. We've got the headline news now. I'm going to say thank you so much to Ebuka for stopping by.
Thanks for having me as always.
Even though, once again, you thought you were smart, you didn't really reveal as much as... Don't worry. Next
I told
time
you my favorite this time. I didn't dodge that one.
There will be a proper plan next time. So next time, hopefully,
hopefully I'm not
I mean, even if I am, don't worry, we'll still do it. We'll find a way. All right, so best of luck with this new episode, new season that's going to be starting very soon, even though he doesn't want to give us the date. And yes, keep up with the good looks and everything. We're liking it. Every now and then, my husband's like, "Do you think that will suit me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, go get that."
The market is selling.
It is, or you should. I'm sure you've got a clothing line in the works somewhere.
You should.
So what's wrong with you?
Why?
Oh, is it expo? What did I say?
All right, then. Let me shut my mouth. We have got the headline news coming up right now. Thank you so much again to Ebuka for stopping by. And, y'all be nicer. Nice. Yeah. You guys can be nice. You can be fans and not people and toxic. All right.
My birthday's coming. Buy me Jeep.
My birthday too.
Down, but the beat never stops.